Hello, welcome. My name is Troy Peterson with Fidelity National Title, and I've got with me today Josh Hintzen with the MoJo team at Realty One Group and Austin Bates from V.I.P Mortgage. Welcome, guys. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Troy. Man.
All right, so we are right smack dab in this kind of election season. So first question to both of you is, who are you voting for?
Okay. I'll let Austin chime in first.
Moving on quickly, but seriously, so we're obviously in this place where there's a lot of tension around the election. So how does this impact real estate? It historically, and then maybe this election, whether it's different or not. So Josh, first question to you: what are you seeing right now in your buyers or sellers? Is there kind of a sense of hesitancy? Kind of how are you advising people in this climate?
Yeah, absolutely. So both on the seller side and on the buyer side, we do have clients that do get very hesitant, and they'll tell us right up front, hey, look, I'm waiting until after the election. I can tell you right now, I've got a list of at least 10 to 15 buyers that are stating, I'm waiting to see what happens after the election, and then I'm going to make a move. And same thing with our sellers. I have a list of sellers as well that they don't want to list right now. They want to wait until after the election. And then at that point in time, they're going to go ahead and sell. I don't personally think that that's the right thing. I wouldn't do that. And I share this with my clients as well. Because right now, the market is extremely hot in Arizona. And whether you list now or you list after the election, it's not going to make a big difference one way or another. And we do traditionally every 2 to 4 years see a slowdown in the market, usually a month to 2 months out, but we haven't seen that this year because there's only 8,000 active properties on the market when normally there's about 30,000. So I actually think there's an opportunity as a buyer to be able to purchase a home right now. If there's other people that are kind of sitting by the sidelines and waiting, you might have less competition. You might be able to get a property that maybe instead of it having 15 offers on it, maybe it's only going to have 5 offers on it.
So that's an interesting perspective because, okay, so we just went through COVID. Well, not that we're through it, but the real crunch back in March, April, when a lot of people, moved to the sidelines, and those that said, hey, I'm going to push forward, we're able to get properties. And so you're basically kind of saying the same thing in this scenario.
Absolutely. And we're by no means seeing a slowdown in the market. I mean, Austin can tell you, I had, we put in 2 different offers with clients this last 7 days, and one had 17 offers on it. And the other one, I believe, had 13 offers on it. And it's still an extremely hot market. And these were higher priced homes too. These were up around $800,000. And so we're seeing people compete with each other, unlike any other time, almost going back to 2007 in the market.
Yeah, I had to call and beg one of those listing agents.
Yeah, I know. And thanks for doing that. Thanks for, begging, pleading, praying.
Thanks.
I mean, I had my fingers crossed, toes crossed, eyes crossed to get that deal done. But thanks for stepping in. I appreciate that.
Austin, kind of your thoughts in your field of lending. Kind of how is this whole election season playing out?
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 years ago. You had a lot of people that said, "I'm not going to make a decision until after the election," and and that historically seems to be the approach that people take. And then it's like the election happens, and then they realize that no matter what the result was, they really don't know how it's going to impact things. And so everything goes back to normal. But you might have this, I mean, last time the result was completely opposite of what people expected, and the markets moved violently because of it. And those 2 weeks after the election 4 years ago, your interest rate market was spiking and dropping and spiking and dropping because they're like, what does Donald Trump mean as a president of the United States? Because it was such a curveball. So, but you look at this election, you either got 4 years of the same, which we just went through 4 years, so we kind of know what it is, or 4 years of someone who we're remotely familiar with because he was vice president, 8 to 4 years ago. So there's not really a curveball unless Kanye wins. There's not really a curveball that's going to come in here and
I'm going off the board with Kanye.
Yeah, but I like that. But Josh is right. You know, the people that the ones that are stepping aside right now could miss out on opportunities. Kind of like we just had this conversation in March and April and May, where we're like, guys, this market's really, really hot. Interest rates are really attractive. Inventory is pretty low. People seem to be really coming into Arizona. I've got more out-of-state pre-qualified buyers coming my way than I've ever had in my career. So the competition's only going to continue to heat up here. So I think that, you know, any stepping to the sidelines right now, you know, could be an opportunity that you miss. But Josh is right too. You know, hey, if you're 1 of 8 versus 1 of 15, those are still better odds. You know, whether it's 8 or 15 doesn't matter. But you know, from an interest rate standpoint, you know, our rates are driven more by anticipation than they are off results. And you know, we price in where we think markets might go, and our rates have been flat to downward for 6 to 8 months. You know, no sign of what's going to go on with the election has come in and deterred the path of rates just yet. You know, they're going to be looking for positive economic activity as a means to, you know, drive interest rates back up. And all you're talking about is additional stimulus and, you know, jobs numbers that aren't as bad as you expected. So we shouldn't be running the risk of anything coming in, you know, at least from the indicators and kind of having the election throw anything off or anything really getting derailed, you know, for the foreseeable future. You know, we usually have a runway towards those things. But yeah, it's, I don't know. This is one election that I feel like I read an article and the way it talked about the results, it's two things you're more or less familiar with. So politics aside, there shouldn't be any big surprises. I mean, they even put a mute button on the next debate. So like, you know, they're trying to keep it as business as usual as possible. So I don't think we're going to see any wild movements on this stuff. But again, you know, you never know when these elections come up. But
So,
it's
yeah.
this market.
I was going to say, yeah, honestly, Troy, it might even be like a coiled spring that as soon as the election's over and things kind of settle, you know, a few days or maybe a few weeks after, you're going to have all these buyers and sellers that are just going to say, okay, time to list, time to buy. Well, and it might be just a frenzy for the next couple of months into the spring.
I was going to ask, so you mentioned, I think you 13 buyers and 7 sellers or some number like that are waiting for the election to happen. I guess my question would be, so depending on which candidate wins, do they go back in or do they all just get back in anyway?
I think they're getting back in anyway. I mean, they've all expressed interest in either buying or selling. And my thoughts have always been that if you've already made the decision that you're going to buy, it's just a matter of when, because, you know, we all have things that push us in one direction or another. For example, if you're downsizing, if you're upsizing, if you're moving states, if you're, maybe unfortunately there might be a death in the family or a divorce. There's always things that push people into one direction or another. And so when it comes to residential real estate, it's not about, okay, it's not a business decision. It's not, or for the most part, it's usually not a business decision. It's, I'm going to buy, I'm going to move to this city. It's just a matter of when. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Like you said, Austin, on the it's interesting what you're saying in your entire career, more out of state contracts and such. I mean, just on our side too, we just more and more people moving to Arizona, and everybody I talk to, nobody seems to think that's going to slow down. I mean, our economy's strong, the pro growth, all the things that are set up such that, and when other states open up, it would not surprise us, I think, for even more people to make their choices to move as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, people coming from California or Washington State or, Colorado or back east, they look at it at an $800,000 house and they're like, that's a steal, So that's why you're seeing the competition, when this market really started heating up a lot in the spring. That competition, people were worried that with what's going on in the jumbo financing markets, that the luxury home community, could be in trouble. And now it's just as hot as your 500,000 and under. And so there's a lot of strength in this, and you've got a lot of influx into Phoenix, into Arizona, into Scottsdale. You're right. There's not something that could necessarily happen that could just deter people from coming in here, outside of a second wave pandemic, that Arizona is the worst state in the
Yeah, and
country
not
for.
to mention the taxes. You mean being a tax? I mean, taxes are half.
Oh, easy. I have
So-
a client who's going to purchase a $2+ million house, and he's coming from California, and he said, hey, look, Josh, your taxes are roughly a third of what I'm paying. Your property taxes are roughly a third of what I'm paying in California right now. And so to be able to move there and lop off 2/3 of my property taxes, that's a huge benefit to me.
Yeah.
Our property tax rates are absurd when you compare, Cook County. I remember I got a contract once in Illinois, in Cook County, Chicago, and I called the client. I'm like, hey, I think there's an error. Your taxes are $24,000 a year, and he's like, no, that's right. I'm like, that's a mortgage payment. Your taxes are a $400,000 monthly mortgage payment. It's same property in Arizona would probably have taxes instead of $2,000 a year, maybe $400.
Sure.
I mean, think about the difference there.
Yeah, and for all those reasons, I think we're going to just continue to see flooded from out of state, and that comes with its own challenges, I'm sure. Maybe for another conversation another time, but yeah, good to I mean, we're fortunate because a lot of places around the country, their economy's not firing like ours is, and certainly there's sectors that are struggling, but on the real estate side of things have been going really well. So. Congratulations, guys. Good work. I know it's been some record months, and it's a lot of business, putting our head down a lot, working hard, trying to help people. So thanks for your partnership and all of it.
Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Troy.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Take care.